Magandang araw muli sa inyong lahat. I am Dr. Jeffrey Reboron and welcome to another class in our Clinical Practicum 101B. This is Class 8 and we will be talking about the psychological changes that occur in a woman during the postpartum period. Aside from the physiologic and anatomical changes that occur in the postpartum period, the mother will also experience changes in her behavior and attitude. These are what we call psychological changes that occur in the postpartum period. Now, in the first place, why do these kinds of changes, psychological changes, occur? Always remember that the mother is faced with a tremendous task of mentally and emotionally adjusting to the new experience of being a mother. Now, that change in attitude or mood may sometimes be caused by the hormonal levels. Always remember that the levels of progesterone, oxytocin, relaxin, and things like that may affect the psychological functions and the mood of the mother. Always remember that for first-time mothers, motherhood may become scary. They are not sure if they are ready to become mothers or if they have the ability to become maternal and caring to their children. So for them, motherhood may be very scary, and that may lead to psychological changes. Aside from that, we as midwives are faced with the responsibility to ensure that the patient that we have is assisted in her transition, not just in the physical changes, but also to the psychological changes in the postpartum period. Kasi nga, the mother is adjusting from a period wherein she is pregnant until the period that she is already a mother. So as midwives, we have to psychologically assist the mother in that transition period. According to Reva Rubin, there are 3 psychological phases during the puerperium. And number 1 is taking in phase. And this occurs on the first 3 days of postpartum. During this period, the woman is largely passive and dependent. She doesn't like doing things for herself or for her child, and she prefers the midwife or the other people to do things for her. The midwife doesn't want to comb her hair, doesn't want to feed herself, doesn't want to change her clothes on her own. She wants to be very passive and dependent on other people. Now, this is not actually a bad side on the mother. You have to remember that there are reasons for this passive behavior. You have to note that there are physical discomforts being felt by the mother during these first 3 days of postpartum. Number 1, there are after pains. May mga pagkibot-kibot at pagkirot-kirot ng kanyang uterus. Aside from that, there is also the presence of perineal stitches or hemorrhoids or constipation, or she also feels thirsty or hungry. Maraming mga factor. Aside from that, there is also the extreme exhaustion or tiredness from the childbirth because, as you know, she spends a lot of energy trying to deliver the child. So pagod na pagod si mother, kaya there's a possibility na passive and dependent siya. Aside from that, the mother is facing uncertainty and self-doubt in caring for the newborn. Especially for first-time mothers, iisipin nila, kaya ko bang alagaan yung bata? For mothers naman who have already multiple children, they will say, kaya ko bang buhayin yung bata? So the mother is faced with uncertainty or self-doubt in caring the newborn during the taking-in phase. During the taking-in phase, the mother also shows little to no interest in taking care of her child. Ayaw niyang alagaan mostly yung bata because she wants to celebrate her victory of childbirth by taking other people's attention. Anong ginagawa ng nanay to take the attention of other people? Now she wants to talk about herself, her experience during childbirth, her difficult labor, her experience during delivery. She wants to become the center of attention during this taking-in phase. This is her way of thinking and pondering about her new role as a mother. So what do we do if we see patients that are in the taking-in phase or on the first 3 days of postpartum? The number 1 thing that you should do is you allow the mother to talk about her experiences. You should encourage the woman to talk about her journey in giving birth because this helps to integrate it into her life experiences. She will not forget about her hardships while delivering the child. Therefore, she will give due care and attention to her children because she knows and she remembers how difficult it was to deliver them. Aside from that, another midwifery responsibility is to use effective communication techniques because we want to allow the mother to explore and ventilate her feelings regarding her experience. Gusto natin kinakausap natin si mother at nagkukwento siya. Therefore, we have to use techniques that allow communication. We have also to spend time with her and let her elaborate her story because this for her is therapeutic. You also need to use encouraging words like go on, tell me more, or what did you feel when that happened, or it must have been very scary. Dapat sinasabi mo tong mga words na to so that the mother will be happy when it comes to telling her story. And when you allow her to tell her story, and when you use questions or words that encourage storytelling, the mother will explore and understand her emotions better. So those are the things that we can do. On top of that, you always have to offer smile to your patient and show her that you are really listening to her. Now, the next phase in your psychological phases, according to Reva Rubin, is the taking hold phase. The woman now begins to initiate action rather than being passive and dependent. Hindi na kagaya kanina that the mother doesn't want to decide or to take care of herself and her baby. This time, the mother does things for herself without relying on others anymore. The woman also begins to show strong interest in taking care of the child. During the taking in phase, the mother doesn't want to take care of the child. Her focus is herself and her experience. But in the taking hold phase, the mother will already show desire that she wants to take care of her child. Now, although the mother appears to be independent during this phase, you have to remember that they may feel insecure and unsure of her ability to take care of her new child. The mother should always be given praise for the things that she does well to give her confidence. If the mother will say, I don't know how to feed the baby correctly, or I am not sure if I am doing bathing correctly, hindi ko alam kung tama yung pagpapaligo ko sa bata, you have to assist the mother because plenty of times the mother might feel insecure and unsure about her ability, and you have to be very patient in giving her praises and advice so that she will develop her confidence. Aside from that, you do not have to rush the woman to enter the taking hold phase. You have to be patient with her and do not force her to make decisions on her own or do things for herself unless she is ready. Kung ang gusto niyang pinag-uusapan ay sarili pa lang niya, nandun pa lang siya sa taking in phase, do not rush her to say, Mrs., dapat ganito na ang ginagawa mo. Do not rush her because things will fall into place if they are ready. And so is your patient. Now, what are your midwifery responsibilities when taking care of a patient in the taking hold phase? Number one is that you have to teach the mother. You have to demonstrate her the proper way of caring for her child, and you also allow her to care for her child herself. What I'm saying is you have to give ample independence to the mother, but always make sure that you provide watchful guidance and supervision while she is still learning to give care to her newborn. So what do? Invite her. Sabihin mo, Mother, halika dito, paliguan mo yung bata. And while the mother is performing the demonstration or demonstrating the act of bathing the child, you provide watchful guidance. That is one thing that you should do. Aside from that is you shower her with positive reinforcements. You give her words of encouragement so that she can gain confidence in taking care of her child. You also have to provide her feedbacks on the things that she do well. And you also have to correct her on the things that she is doing wrong. That is one of the main responsibilities of the midwife, to make sure that the mother is well equipped and well skilled enough to take care of her child once they go out of the hospital. Aside from that, you have to use effective communication. You have to understand that learning to make decisions about her child's welfare is one of the most difficult phases for the mother. Mahirap mag-decide ng ilalagay nilang pangalan in the birth certificate. Mahirap mag-decide kung sinong doctor yung pupuntahan nila during the pediatric visit. So, as a midwife, you have to be patient in helping her to arrive at the decision by encouraging her to explore her emotions. You also allow her to talk to family members if the matter that you want her to decide upon, she cannot decide on her own. Kunwari, Mrs., ano po ba yung gusto nyong magiging pangalan ng anak nyo? Kasi po yun po yung ilalagay sa birth certificate. So if the mother cannot yet decide, you have to be very patient and allow her more time to talk to her family members so that she can make a guided decision. So use effective communication. The last phase is what we call the letting go phase. This phase redefines the woman's new role as a mother, and she already gives up the fantasized image of her child and accepts the real one. Anong ibig sabihin nito? The mother might sometimes have a fantasy that her child will look like a child star or that the skin of the child is fair. But during the letting go phase, the mother will already accept the child for what it is or how it looks like. The mother also accepts the fact that she is no longer childless and that she is already a mother of one. Always remember that during the taking in and the taking hold phase, the mother has a hard time accepting another role in her life. However, during the letting go phase, she has already accepted the reality that she is no longer a single person, but a mother. Now, during this phase, the mother must accomplish two separations, kaya po siya tinawag na letting go phase. And what are these separations that are expected to be fulfilled by the mother? Number one, she has to let go and accept the physical separation of the baby from her. The mother has always counted the baby as part of her body because the child stayed in the womb of the mother for 9 months, and the mother might have difficulty accepting that physical separation. So that is the first separation that should occur in the letting go phase, that the mother should realize and accept the fact that the physical separation from the baby has already occurred. The next separation that the mother should do is to relinquish her former role as a childless person. She should accept the reality that she is no longer a single entity, but she is already a mother who is the sole carer and provider of her children. So those are the two separations that should occur during the letting go phase. Now, the mother should also learn to schedule her day-to-day activity relative to the needs of the new child. So the mother should plan her schedule based on the needs of the baby. Kunwari, during 8 a.m., kung dati nanonood lang siya ng TV and then 11 a.m., magluluto na siya ng pagkain, the mother will have to work around that schedule. The mother will wake up early, give bath to the child, and then feed the child, prepare her food, the things like that. She has to adjust her schedule to the needs of her newborn. Also, in the letting go phase, the mother should also decide whether she should continue with her existing job or stop. And then she will also again be faced with another problem, which is if she quits her job, she must adapt less freedom because she will stay home most of the time. She will have less autonomy and less social stimulation. She will not have the proper time to go out with friends because she will be taking care of the baby if she quits her job. Aside from that, if she continues to work, she continues with her employment, she must handle the additional strain of finding a babysitter that she can trust and also meeting additional workload because this time, she will not be resting immediately after she comes home from work. Siyempre, pagkatapos ng trabaho, meron pa siyang aasikasuhing bata. So she has to adjust to these kinds of problems. So in the letting go phase, the mother will decide if she will forgo her job kung hindi na ba siya magtatrabaho, or she will let go of her freedom, or she will continue to work but still face another problem. Now, more often, the patients might have postpartum blues or what we call baby blues. During the letting go phase, the mother may experience feeling let down, which is what we call postpartum or baby blues. This is a form of depression that is usually temporary and may also occur in the hospital. The mother will become very sad. There will be weeping or crying for no reason at all. Kunwari, makikita mo yung nanay umiiyak. Tapos tatanungin mo, ma'am, bakit po kayo umiiyak? Is everything okay? And the mother will say, hindi ko alam kung bakit ako umiiyak. So that may be a sign of a postpartum or baby blues. Aside from that, the patient will be impatient and irritable. Agad-agad nagagalit or agad-agad naiirita. Those are signs of baby blues. Aside from that, she doesn't sleep well. She is restless. She is always tired. She is fatigued. She doesn't sleep well, insomnia. Even if the baby is already sleeping, hindi siya nakakatulog. Those are signs of depression. The mother will also feel sadness, anxiety, mood changes, poor concentration. Those are the problems that a patient shows during the post if he or she is experiencing postpartum blues. Now, you have to remember that postpartum blues is somehow normal. There are mothers who cannot control their fear, their stress, and then they develop postpartum blues. But it will be temporary. But for patients who continue to have this kind of depression, pwedeng mag-progress kasi ang postpartum blues. Kung kanina is sad lang yung nanay or depressed lang, pwedeng magkaroon siya ng pagkabaliw or what we call postpartum psychosis. And that's the reason why when we already see patients who are suffering from postpartum blues, dapat we already give adequate intervention para hindi po siya magkaroon ng postpartum psychosis or baka mabaliw yung nanay. Now, what are our midwifery responsibilities when we are taking care of a patient during the taking hold phase? What do you do to prevent postpartum blues? Number one is do not ignore the mother's feelings. Many women may feel confused about their feelings and sometimes they don't want to talk about it. As a midwife, you should always acknowledge that these feelings are valid or real. Kung nakita mo yung pasyenteng umiiyak tapos tinanong mo kung anong problema and then sasabihin niyang walang rason, wag mong sasabihin na ang arte-arte mo, umiiyak ka ng walang rason, ano ka, baliw. No, do not do that. You have to acknowledge that the feeling of the mother of sadness, even if she does not have any reason to tell you, is still valid and real. Aside from that, you also have to allow her to talk about her emotions. You encourage her to talk about her thoughts, the changes that she feels, the challenges. That's the one way to cope with baby blues. You allow her to explore her emotions. If the mother doesn't want to talk to you or doesn't want to open up to the doctor, you cannot force her. But always make sure to let her talk about her feelings with someone she trusts, like her husband or a friend. You have to refer them to someone that she trusts so that she can talk about her emotions with them if she doesn't trust you enough. Number 3 is you have to maintain a well-balanced diet. Having a new baby may cause her not to eat correctly, and sometimes the stress that she is feeling might predispose her to eat more carbohydrates or sweets. Kasi nga, di ba, pag stressed ka, nagsistress eating ka, kumakain ka ng maraming chocolates, kumakain ka ng maraming matatamis, and that may lead to another kind of mood swing if you eat too much simple carbohydrates. So dapat well-balanced diet si mother. Foods that are rich in fiber, fruits and vegetables, that are rich in iron, take a lot of fluids, specifically water. So those are the things that you should do in maintaining a well-balanced diet. Aside from that, you also encourage the mother to keep a journal of all her thoughts and feelings. And you reassure her that committing mistakes in child rearing in the first weeks of postpartum is normal. Kunwari, nagsulat si mother, bakit ka umiiyak? And then, sabi ng nanay, feeling ko hindi ako magiging magaling na mother. Bakit? Kasi hindi ko alam magpaligo ng bata nang hindi ako nagkakaroon ng mistake. You have to reassure her that the mistakes that she has done will only make her become a better mother. So, you tell her that committing mistakes on the first week is anything normal. It's very normal. You also have to encourage her to give herself time to heal from birth, to adjust her feeding and sleeping routines, kasi nga hindi na siya halos makakatulog because she is already taking care of a newborn. So that may become stressful. So sabihin mo, ma'am, you give yourself time to heal. And you give yourself enough time to adjust to your new feeding and sleeping patterns. And you keep always a journal of emotions to help you become more aware of the thoughts and feelings you're having towards motherhood. Maganda kung nagsusulat yung nanay ng kanyang nafe-feel during that day. Kunwari, I woke up sad because I was not able to sleep properly. Or I woke up happy because my baby was snoring a little bit and the music that it creates made my heart warm. So, magkikip dapat siya ng journal so that she is aware why she is feeling the way she does. And lastly, you encourage her to take a break. You encourage her to go outside and enjoy the fresh air because life inside the confines of diapers, feeding, spitting up, yung pag-aalaga ng bata, minsan nakaka-stress yan. So you have to give her some time. You tell her to just go out, enjoy a different view for a moment, and that can make a huge difference in her psychological welfare. So always remember you have to always encourage her to take a break, encourage her to keep a journal, maintain a balanced diet, and keep her emotions in check. As a midwife, we also have to help the parents develop a parental love and positive family relationships. Always remember that some mothers may not experience maternal feelings for their children during the first few weeks after childbirth. Hindi agad-agad mafe-feel ng nanay or ng tatay na love nila yung bata, especially in the first few weeks. Like I said a while ago, the mother will become more centered about her feelings and emotions rather than the welfare of the child. So it's but normal for parents to not experience love and maternal feelings for their child in the first few weeks after childbirth. Although the woman carried the child inside her womb for 9 months, she now sees the newborn as a stranger. And it is uncommon to see mothers. It is normal for mothers to not want to touch their babies, especially in the first few days. Ayaw nilang i-touch or galawin yung kanilang bata. Bakit? Because they might have difficulty accepting that that person, that individual, came from them. Some fathers may also experience difficulty in claiming or bonding with their children, especially in the first 3 months. Ayaw nilang masyadong kinakarga yung bata or hindi nila gustong masyadong tinitignan yung bata because they have difficulty claiming or bonding with the child. But once the child starts to smile or coo directly to the father, kung yung bata pinapansin na yung tatay, nagme-make na siya ng noise, the father will now start to claim the child as his own. So it's normal for parents to have difficulty adjusting or developing strong parental love for their children on the first few weeks. Lagi niyong tatandaan, that's normal. However, we can help them develop this parental love faster by encouraging them to do these kinds of things that I will be teaching you. One midwifery responsibility that you can do is encourage the en-face position. And when you say en-face position, you encourage the mother to look directly at the newborn's face. Dapat there should be direct eye contact. And this simple act can help the mother accept the child faster as her own by fostering active interaction between the two. So sabihin nyo, Mrs., look at your baby, oh, ang ganda-ganda ng mukha. Mrs., tignan mo yung mata ng bata. That's how you encourage the enfas position. And sabi nga nila, when you look another person in the eye, you develop feelings for them. That is what we are doing when we encourage the enfas position. Next is you have to give ample time for claiming or bonding. You have to let the mother express her warm gesture towards her child. You have to encourage her to hold the baby in her hand, gently brush her cheeks. Mrs., tignan mo ang lambot-lambot ng skin ng bata, tignan mo. So that's how you encourage her to claim or bond with the child. You also encourage them to play with the child and count the child's toes and fingers. Sabihin mo, Mrs., bilangin mo yung fingers and toes ng anak mo, tignan mo kung normal siya. And then when you say, Mom, 10 fingers, 10 toes, sabihin mo, wow, Mom, congratulations, you have a normal baby boy. And then the mother will feel very excited that there are no complications that are happening in the child. That will develop parental love because you are helping them to claim or bond with the child. When we say claiming or bonding kasi, this is the process wherein the mother recognizes her responsibility to take care of the child. So when you let her express her love with the newborn, she develops this kind of motherly instinct na sasabihin niya sa sarili niya, akin tong batang to. Dapat aalagaan ko siya. So those are the things that you should do. Encourage enfas position, dapat face-to-face and eye contact, and then you give ample time for claiming and bonding. The next thing that you should always do is you watch out for the signs of engrossment. When we say engrossment, yung tatay naman dito is staring at the newborn for long intervals. Yung tatay, tinitignan niya ng matagal yung kanyang anak. The father shows deep interest towards the child. However, the father might have difficulty claiming or bonding with the child. So anong sasabihin natin? Once we saw engrossment that is displayed by the father, kunwari, napansin nyo niya yung tatay, tinitignan yung kanyang anak. You have to encourage the father to hold the baby. Sabihin mo, sir, kargahin niyo po yung bata. And that will also be one way of helping the father claim the child or bond with the child. And pag nag-develop po yung claiming or bonding, that will also help develop parental love from the father. Lastly, you have to always encourage them to spend time with the baby. You have to remember that to form this strong bond between the child and the parents, the midwife should always allow and encourage both mother and father to touch and spend as much time as possible with the child during the first few hours of life. So dapat yung bata hindi na separate sa kanyang mga magulang. Para yung mga magulang, they are able to take care of the child whenever they want to. So dapat meron tayong non-separation of the child and dapat meron ding rooming in. When you say rooming in, the child should stay on the room of the mother. So those are the things that you can do to develop parental love. Now, as mentioned a while ago, we have the term Rooming In and Breastfeeding Act of 1992. And this is actually called the Republic Act 76400. You have to remember RA 76400 because this comes out in the board exams. Now, ano bang ibig sabihin ng Rooming In and Breastfeeding Act of 1992? According to this law, when the newborn stays inside the room of the mother, that is called rooming in. Dati-dati kasi, there is a separation of the mother and child after delivery. What the hospital does is after the delivery of the child, the mother is taken to the obstetrics room or obstetrical ward, and the newborn is taken to either the neonatal intensive care unit or to the pedia ward. So dati-dati magkahiwalay po yung bata at nanay. But because of the Rooming In and Breastfeeding Act of 1992, there should be non-separation of the mother and child. Therefore, the child should stay where the mother is staying. Now, ano ba yung RA 7600? This is a Philippine law that encourages the rooming in and breastfeeding in all the hospitals in the country. So, all the hospitals dapat ay hindi pinagseseparate yung bata sa nanay. The rooming in is one way of ensuring that the baby will form adequate bonding, maternal and child bonding. Ano pa? The newborn will also receive breastfeeding immediately. So napakaganda po ng rooming in, and the mother and child are no longer separated because of this law. Now, we proceed to the importance of the rooming in for the mother. Bakit po maganda ang rooming in para sa nanay? Number one is that it helps them form a maternal and child relationship because the mother is able to take care of the baby and the mother stays a lot of time bonding with the child. So maganda ito for maternal and child relationship. Aside from that, the mother can also become better acquainted with her child and she develops increased confidence in handling and taking care of her baby. Kasi kung yung nanay, siya po yung inaasahan natin na mag-change ng diaper or magpapaligo sa bata kasi nga magkakwarto sila, the mother will have increased confidence and she will be very confident in taking care of the newborn. So that's one good thing about rooming in. Aside from that, the mother can also detect and identify breastfeeding cues immediately. So yung bata, hinihintay na lang natin noon na umiyak para bigyan natin ng gatas or pakainin natin. Ngayon po, because the mother and the child is staying in one room, the mother can easily identify breastfeeding cues. Alam ng nanay kung kailan gustong kumain ng bata because the child will show rooting reflex, mag-open-open na siya ng mouth niya, sucking on the tongue, on the fingers, on the hands. So pag nakita na yung nanay yung mga breastfeeding cues or hunger cues na yon, that is one importance of rooming in kasi agad-agad mapapakain siya ng nanay. The mother can immediately breastfeed the newborn. Aside from that, another important thing that happens in your rooming in is that it prevents baby blues or what we call postpartum depression. Because the mother is given ample opportunity to be with the child immediately, agad-agad niyang natututunan mahalin yung bata. And her maternal instincts, yung pagiging nanay niya, the motherhood, her sense of being a mother is developed earlier. Therefore, she overcomes depression easily when she is taking care of her child and seeing how precious and beautiful her child is. Aside from that, your rooming in also increases the opportunity for skin-to-skin contact. Maganda po ang skin-to-skin contact wherein the baby is placed on the abdomen of the mother and then skin-to-skin sila. Why? Because this prevents hypothermia. Karamihan po ng mga bata, they develop complications because they feel cold. Giniginaw sila. But if the mother is staying with the child and the mother is allowed to perform skin-to-skin contact with the newborn, then hindi po giginawin si baby because the heat of the mother will thermoregulate the temperature of the child. So it's very good that we have rooming in kasi nga hindi na kailangan ng incubator, ng mga drop light kasi meron ng heat coming from the water that will regulate the temperature of the baby. Aside from that, the mother is also given more opportunities to learn about childcare because she is able to witness and learn what the midwife is doing during feeding, bathing, and etc. Kasi po pag magkakwarto sila, and then the mother is given an opportunity to observe the care that is given to her child by the midwife or the nurse, mas natututunan niya kung paano alagaan din yung bata by copying or replicating what the midwife is doing. So you have to remember na napakadaming importance po ng rooming in for the mother. Now we also have the importance of rooming in for the baby. Number one is that the baby will have better quality of sleep because the newborn will develop more regular sleep-wake patterns kasi nga the baby is interacting with her parents who are generally awake during the daytime and asleep during the nighttime. So yung bata, ma-adapt din niya yung sleep-wake cycle ng kanyang mga magulang. So the child will be generally awake in the morning and the child will also become generally asleep in the evening. So when that happens, everybody happy. Tulog ng yung baby, tulog din yung bata. Ay, yung nanay at tatay, pag gising yung nanay at tatay, gising din yung bata. So walang mapupuyat sa kanila. So the child will have better quality of sleep if the child is roomed in with the mother. Aside from that, the baby will have more stable body temperature because the parents are free to cuddle and hug the child. Like I told you a while ago, napaka-importante po ng skin-to-skin contact because it helps the newborn regulate his or her temperature. The baby is also generally more content and there is less crying because the child does not feel alone and the child does not feel lonely. Always remember that the child might need to hear soothing sounds pag umiyak siya. Pag umiyak yung bata, minsan ayaw niya nang mag-isa. So when the mother will say, "Oh baby, nandito lang ako," the child will not feel alone. So maganda po yung rooming in para sa bata. Aside from that, the child may have more stable blood sugar levels. Why? Because if the child is hungry already, the mother is there available to give her or him the breast milk that the child wants. Ano pa? The baby has more time to breastfeed sooner and longer and more easily because the mother stays in the same room. And also, the child is given adequate opportunity to be exposed to normal bacteria that are seen on the mother's skin. Always remember po kasi na maraming mga microorganisms na nakikita sa skin ng nanay. And when the baby is being held by the mother, the baby can lick or swallow these normal bacteria that are present on the mother's skin. Maganda po ba itong mga bacteriang to? Yes, they are very good because they will improve the child's immunity. So, papalakasin ng mga bacteriang ito, yung presence ng bacteriang ito, yung immunity ng bata. Aside from that, the child will also swallow harmless microorganisms from the mother's skin that will also help them produce vitamin K. So always remember yung bacteria na nakukuha sa skin ng nanay will not only improve immunity but also will help produce vitamin K on the baby, which will produce bleeding on the cord. And that concludes our 8th discussion. I hope you learned something from our session together, and I hope that you enjoyed the class as much as I did. I will be uploading another quiz in your Edmodo class so that I can assess how much you have learned during our session together. Again, keep safe, be healthy, stay at home, and stay alive. Maraming salamat for listening.